Jacob left Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he came to a certain place and stayed there that night, because the sun had set, taking one of the stones of the place. He put it under his head and lay down in that place to sleep. Imagine Jacob at this moment a fugitive, alone, and afraid. He had just deceived his father Isaac and stolen his brother Esau's blessing, and now he was fleeing for his life from Esau's murderous rage, the weight of his actions, the guilt, the fear. The uncertainty of the future all pressed down on him as he lay his head on a cold stone pillow in the wilderness. He was leaving everything familiar behind: his family, his home, his security, heading to a foreign land he'd never seen. This was rock bottom, the consequence of his own scheming coming to full fruition. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. In the midst of his desperation, God met Jacob in a dream, not a gentle, comforting dream, but a staggering, cosmic vision, a ladder, or more accurately, a stairway or ramp connecting heaven and earth, with angels constantly moving between the two realms. This wasn't a ladder humans could climb to reach God. This was a divine bridge God established to connect with humanity. The angels weren't just descending to help Jacob or ascending to report; they were constantly moving, indicating uninterrupted communion between heaven and earth. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you, and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south, and in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." And he was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." God's words to Jacob were breathtaking in their grace and scope. Notice he didn't begin with rebuke for Jacob's deception. Instead, he reaffirmed the covenant he made with Abraham and Isaac. The promises were staggering: the land, countless descendants, and universal blessing through his line. But the most personal promise was, "I am with you and will keep you wherever you go," to a man who had lost everything and was running for his life. These were the most precious words he could hear. Jacob's response reveals his spiritual awakening. "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." He thought he was alone in the wilderness, but heaven had been right there all along. This is a pro tip for our own dark moments, even when we feel most abandoned. God is present, we just need eyes to see him. So Jacob rose early in the morning, and he took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on the top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, which means house of God, but the name of the city was Luz at first. Jacob's response was immediate and practical. He took the very stone that had been his pillow, a symbol of his hardship and desperation, and transformed it into a memorial pillar. By anointing it with oil, he consecrated it as holy, marking the spot where he met God. He renamed the place Bethel, meaning house of God, overriding its former identity Luz, which meant almond tree. This teaches us that our places of pain can become places of divine encounter when we meet God there. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and I'll give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me I will give a full tenth to you." Jacob's vow has sometimes been criticized as conditional faith. If God will do this, then I will serve him. But look deeper. Jacob was essentially saying, if you prove to be the God you just claim to be, faithful, present, and provider, then I will worship you alone and honor you with my substance. This was the beginning of true faith for Jacob, moving from merely knowing about the God of his fathers to personally committing to him. So what are the moral lessons we can learn from Jacob's ladder at Bethel? First, God meets us at our lowest points, often when we've exhausted our own schemes and resources. Our failures don't disqualify us from God's promises. Second, heaven is closer than we think. God is actively involved in our world and our lives, even when we can't perceive it. Third, encounters with God should lead to practical response, worship, commitment, and generosity. And finally, Jesus later revealed himself as the true ladder between heaven and earth, telling Nathanael, "You will see heaven opened, and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." Jacob's ladder ultimately points to Christ, who alone bridges the gap between God and humanity. The story of Jacob's ladder reminds us that no one is too flawed, no situation too desperate, and no place too distant for God's grace to reach. If this story of divine encounter in the wilderness has encouraged you in your own journey, please like and subscribe to this channel.